Hello everyone, welcome back to the YouTube channel, welcome back to another episode. My name's Dr. Alex George and my focus is on mental fitness. In this video we're going to be talking about sobriety and alcohol-free living, a theme that's very important to me as someone who's been alcohol-free for over 2 years. This video is going to be about the link between alcohol and sugar addiction, particularly when we stop drinking alcohol. It's a fascinating topic, one that's quite well documented and talked about, and often if you look on social media, people will say, gosh, I quit booze, maybe I've done the dry Jan thing, I stopped drinking, and all of a sudden I'm craving sugars. It's fascinating, but it's also really important to know how to navigate this because, of course, look, quitting the alcohol is great, or having a period without alcohol is brilliant, but if we're replacing that with a load of sugar, that's not ideal either. And actually, having lots of sugar hits can give us huge crashes and so on. So there's lots of reasons to avoid it. So in this video, we're going to think about why it happens, what's the science, and then how to navigate it, like how to deal with it and move through that period of time, because the good news, it does pass. Before we get started, just a reminder to subscribe to my channel. I'm here to support you. I genuinely want to help. And do comment below as you're watching the video any questions or thoughts or advice you have. Also, before we get started, a reminder that the Mind Manual is now out. This is my mental fitness book that encompasses the 7 universal truths that I use to change my life. So you can check that out in the description below. Okay, let's get started. Part 1, dopamine, the link with alcohol and sugar. So this is an important place to start because we're going to explain a bit of the science of why does this happen. So dopamine is a neurotransmitter in the brain, and dopamine is there to essentially be the reward hormone for our brains. So if you go outside for a good walk, you come back and you feel accomplished, that's probably dopamine. If you go and run up a mountain, you get to the top and you get this big hit of, yeah, I feel good, it's probably a bit of endorphins and dopamine as well, saying, well done, that was good. If you have a bar of chocolate and you feel a good hit afterwards, that's also dopamine. If you grab a glass of wine and you drink the wine and you feel really good about it, that is also dopamine. So what is happening is that certain activities or behaviors and even substances can cause the release of dopamine in our brain. And yes, alcohol and sugar are two of a few of those substances that can do that. Other drugs do it as well. Some drugs, in fact, cause massive release of dopamine. The challenge of alcohol causing the release of dopamine in our brain is that it is effectively hardwiring us to want more alcohol, because the brain goes, when I drink alcohol, I get dopamine and I feel good. So I'm going to drink more alcohol, get more dopamine and feel even better. And as many of you know, that's not necessarily true. Having more alcohol, it doesn't mean feeling better, but you get this cyclical loop where the more alcohol you have, the more dopamine you have, and therefore the more you want to do this behavior. Effectively, you're rewarding yourself to then continue having alcohol. And it's partly why it's so addictive, and it's partly why drugs are so addictive, because it's literally training you to want the thing that feels good. Look at another common one, social media. So when we use our smartphones and we see a video, or we like a comment, or we post something and we get likes and so on, that is also causing a dopamine hit on the brain. That's why phones are so addictive. So the question is then, why when we remove alcohol, which, okay, we've explained and said that makes sense, there's the link there with dopamine, why when we remove alcohol, therefore, do we start moving on to sugar? Because many people will watch this and go, well, when I was drinking alcohol, sure, might eat kind of takeaways, or might have some sugary things, but I didn't have like a desire, like an actual need, like I want sugar, like I want chocolate. And then all of a sudden, I've removed alcohol and I have this craving that I never had before. And the reason is because suddenly the brain's lost out on this thing that was giving it dopamine before. You've removed the alcohol and it's looking to replace that fix. It's looking to replace that source of dopamine, if you like. And sugar is a really easy, accessible source that gives you a solid hit, and therefore it locks into that. Because you're going to be having sugar as part of your diet almost, it's almost impossible to avoid sugars. You can have very low sugar diets, but you're going to get some sugar. So your brain locks into those places, maybe chocolate and so on, and goes, bam, dopamine hit, let's have some more. Bam, dopamine hit. And so over a very short period of time, you can find that you end up in the same feedback loop of craving chocolate, have the chocolate hit over and over again, that almost you are having with the drink. And the evidence and research supports this theory that sweet foods with lots of sugar in it can activate similar or the same pathways as drugs like alcohol and even hard drugs too. Another thing that really plays into this also is that alcohol affects your blood sugars, right? So first of all, alcohol has pretty high sugar content. When you remove alcohol, not only are you removing that sugar that's within it, you're also taking something away that affects the way that you process sugar a lot anyway. So what that does is it means that your blood sugars can vary, that you can actually have ups and downs of your energy levels. People talk about sometimes in the first few weeks and months that they go through kind of crashes and drops of energy. And that's partly this process. And that amplifies the sugar addiction, because if you're feeling a bit like meh and you're up and down with your sugars and you've got this thing that's giving you dopamine by having the sugar, you're going to go to that. So it's very easy to happen. And what I would say to people is don't beat yourself up about it and think, oh gosh, like I'm replacing one thing with the other. Like, what's wrong with me? I've tried to stop drinking and now I'm after the sugary stuff. Be kind to yourself. There's physiology and psychology behind it. That's the first point. You can get through this, and here's how you're going to do it. How to manage sugar cravings. So let's talk about some of the techniques that work. Number one, it's the balanced meals is really important. So making sure that on your plate you've got a balance of proteins and carbohydrates as well as healthy fats and plenty of vegetables. Having a balanced plate helps your blood sugar remain in a balanced way. So making sure that you are getting all the nutrients you need. You know, when you've removed alcohol from your system, you're perhaps your body's getting used to the non-alcoholic state, but also it's going through a period of adaptation, of change. It needs good support. It needs protein. It needs all the nutrients. It needs all, the vitamins it can get, but it also needs a good supply of carbohydrates. Don't forget what I said earlier. If you've been drinking, say, 15 pints a week, it's not just alcohol. Think about the calories in that now are gone. So we need to make sure that we're supporting our body nutritionally and in terms of your sugars. Number two, try and have healthier alternatives. So rather than turn into, like, say, crisps and super sugary sweets, having something like, say, a Greek yogurt with a drizzle of honey or dark chocolate and berries can be a good alternative. So you're getting a little bit of sugar, you're getting a little bit of that, but you're not having big hits. Because what happens is that if you get a big hit of sugar, you get a big high, but the higher you go, the further you got to fall. What we want is gentle rises in our sugar. So try and swap out those kind of fast hits for stuff that's a little more gentle, but will still give you that sweet taste. Number three is really underestimated. Stay hydrated. This is important, full stop. Most people don't drink enough water, but if you're craving foods and sugary things, drinking lots of water really does help. Fill your tummy with water. When you're feeling like, oh, I could go and eat something, grab a bottle of water and sip on it for a little while. Honestly, it will make a big difference. It will also help support your mood and your brain health throughout this time of change. Number four, don't skip meals. This is so important. So if you're trying to regulate your sugar system, if you're trying to regulate your body's hormones and adapt to this non-alcohol state, it's really important that your body gets regular meals. So, whether you're someone that has 3 or 4 meals a day, work out what gives you the best balance and stick to it. It's really, really important. If you skip meals, you're going to crash your blood sugars, it'll make it more likely to grab for the quick stuff, and you're going to enter that cycle even further. Now, people might ask, well, what about fasting? Now, obviously there's some research, and for some people that fasting can work really, really well. One thing I would say is that trying to do too many things at once is a huge shock to your body. Going, right, I'm going to quit alcohol, I'm going to do these intermittent fasting on top, I'm going to go and run a marathon all at the same time. It's probably not a great idea. Start steady, do one thing, let the ship steady down and then do the next thing. So I personally found for me it was better to stop the alcohol and have balanced food and work on a balanced diet. Don't go too extreme. Don't go, right now I've stopped the alcohol, I'm going to go crazy with stuff. Get everything balanced and then you can tweak things as you go. Number 5, support your psychological health. Practice mindfulness. So in a way, it's almost a form of distracting yourself too. So when we're going through these times, especially in the first few weeks when you've quit alcohol or you're trying dry Jan or you're going to do 90 days, whatever it is, you're kind of really trying to adapt to this. You're adapting to it socially, sleep-wise, friendships, and trying to deal with food and exercise, your mood. Just make sure that you're supporting yourself psychologically. Mindfulness is brilliant for this. So journaling, meditating, grounding techniques, watching your favorite films, reading books, doing stuff that makes you feel here in the present. Find out what those things are. I've talked about it in other videos, but creating your own toolkit of stuff that gets you through is so important. So knowing, right, okay, I'm feeling a bit, up and down, I'm a bit agitated, I'm craving the sugars, oh God, I'm so annoyed. What's in your toolkit for those situations? Are you going to go and play the piano? Are you going to read your favourite book? Is it calling your friend? Is it going for a run? What are you going to use to get through that? Because it will pass. A craving will pass. It's not going to be there, eternally. It will pass, but you need the right tools to get through it in the best way possible. Okay, so we've covered a little bit around why do you get sugar cravings when you stop drinking alcohol? What's the science and what do you do about it? I thought I'd just talk just for a couple of minutes, in general about the early stages of not drinking alcohol. I'm going to make more content on this specifically, but I know a lot of people, when this video is going out, a lot of people in the early stages, you're doing dry Jan, you're stopping drinking, and I just want to, share a bit of positivity, I guess, because I know in those early days it can be really hard, and I was seeking support and thinking like, where do I go to get motivation, to see what other people have experienced. And as I said before, I don't suffer with addiction. I've been very lucky. I haven't suffered addiction with alcohol, but it was hugely problematic for my life, and I wanted to kind of see how do you get through these times? Like, what are other people's experiences? So I thought I'd just share a few of my thoughts in case that's what you want to hear right now. So first few weeks, I really remember feeling, excited about stopping drinking, but also quite confused, like what's going to happen next? How will I adapt? What's life going to be like? And there was a lot of uncertainty. And what I'd say to that uncertainty, if you're experiencing it now, is that just learn to sit with it a little bit. Like, this is a new chapter. Like, it will be new, especially if you've not done a period of abstaining before from alcohol. It is something new. But don't let that scare you. Like, lean into that a little bit and go like, well, I've done the alcohol thing for how many months or years or whatever it might be, or even decades. This is a new chapter. Let's go into that with interest, intrigue, and excitement, rather than kind of doubt and self-doubt and can I do it? It's a simple kind of switch of the mind to, I guess, a discovery mindset rather than like a negative mindset. And it makes a huge difference, because otherwise, I think, it can feel overwhelming, because there's lots of hard things about stopping drinking. You are adapting to kind of the social stuff, and maybe you are getting the sugar stuff. It's trying to prop yourself up and remind yourself, well, why am I doing this? And actually, it's really exciting to do something different, to do something new. Another thing I would say as well is just to make sure, especially in these early periods, you plan things, like plan stuff to look forward to, plan stuff to be excited about. Give yourself goals and purpose, because that really helps. Put something in the diary, even if it's something simple with a friend in a few weeks' time, something you're going to do together, something you can look forward to. Because otherwise, you can really get into this too much. What I mean by that, and obviously I'm making videos about it, so I'm not saying don't learn about it, don't improve your knowledge and get support, but there is a world outside of alcohol and not drinking and sobriety. And I think the joy is, and I think the best time is when you realise that is the end goal. Does that make sense? In the sense that quitting the alcohol is one thing, but you're quitting it so you can live the life. The life is here. So if you're feeling a bit like on top of yourself and you're thinking about the drinking a lot and thinking about the sobriety a lot, just make sure you've got outlets where you just forget about it. You go and do other things where you're not thinking about sobriety, if that makes sense. And finally, I would just say this journey is so worth it. As someone that's been alcohol-free now for over 2 years, I am so glad that I've taken these steps. I'm so glad that I don't drink each day. And you will get to a point where you get up and you just don't drink. And it's a very special place to be, and I'm very grateful for it. So, good luck to you wherever you're at. If you're watching this thinking about quitting drinking, I made a video looking at 2 years of alcohol-free living that I made. I've got 3 reasons to quit alcohol this year as a video, and lots of other content coming. So check that out and use it for support. Thank you for watching this video. As always, please do comment down below, share your experiences. If you struggle with sugar craving and there's specific foods or things that you've done that have helped, write it in the comments, because this is a community. Let's help each other. I'm not sat here as the messiah of all knowledge. I am absolutely not. I'm just trying to share the stuff that I know. There's plenty of things you'll know that I don't, so share it in the comments below. And a reminder, do subscribe to the channel so you can get updates when the videos are out. And of course, if you do want to build your mental fitness, then check out my book, The Mind Manual. I'm going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care and goodbye.